check, mic check. Energy, 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 energy. NRG check, check. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This classroom, bro. Oh, bro, we used to have so many more people. What the fuck? Bro, remember last year? We were fucking just nigga rape. Yo, Greg, don't start like that, bro. Mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check. Let's go. How's everyone feeling? How is everyone doing today? Is the mic low? Is it cutting out? Speak now or forever hold your con. Mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check. Battery installed, new microphone. Tap, tap. That's good. That's great. All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is September 12th, 2025, and who knows what fall means? What does autumn mean to you? Does anyone know? Does anyone know the significance of the sun? Why it rises in the morning and then it sets and it enters a fall, a winter, I am falling state. It is the fall of man personified in nature. Or should we say other way around? Something you should know. One in the chat if around autumn and winter full blackening, you guys experience probably extremely sad states. And I don't mean like I'm projecting on you guys. I mean, I kind of am, because I'll tell you this, the hardest things I've ever gone through in my life has always been in the snow. I love the snow. It's not like I associate the snow with anything bad, but for me, there's this gripping, I'm screaming in the, well, this is like many years ago, right? But I'm when I look back at the worst times of my life, the worst news I receive, or sometimes nothing bad even happening. Yeah, it's always been for me winter. Not that I have not had summertime sadness, like we get that too. But for me, it's always like, do you remember Game of Thrones when they'd be like, winter is coming, nigga? That's how I've always looked at winter up until the last couple of years of my life. That now it doesn't have that kind of effect on me anymore because you grow up and realize you're doing it to yourself, right? But yeah, this is not a planned call. This is an extra call. The reason I wanted a war room emergency Alex Jones type, Andrew Tate type meeting is because some of the DMs I get from you guys, like, don't, just because I don't answer, don't think I don't read, guys. I read this stuff and you guys are pathetic. All right, let's not get it twisted. Charlie Kirk got launched, stapled, blasted in his throat. Say it explicitly. Say it in your head like that, because some of you are crying like little bitches. And I'm here to tell you, it's okay to be sad because of Charlie Kirk getting blasted in the throat. One in the chat, if it was a really nightmare scene to watch. When I saw it, it hurt. But I'm telling you right now, I don't care if you go to Nick or Hassan, you guys are my inner group. My inner group deserves the truth. And I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it was Mossad, it was this. You know, we'll let those details pan out for themselves. I'm here because we talk about the mind. That's all we'll ever talk about until we're old men, until we see how far Zerka goes versus how far you guys go. And really, it's different strokes for different folks, right? No, bro, it's the same stroke right now. I'm telling you right now from the bottom of my heart, if you are emotionally distraught because of a public a political assassination like this, if you are in a negative state for these last few days, you are a bitch. You are pathetic. You are a danger to yourself. I swear to God, there's no memes here. It sounds like a meme because why is he saying it? It just happened. It just happened, John. Why are you being so cruel? Why are you being so mean to your children? And it's like, dude, If you cannot control your mind in a high pressure situation, we don't have to talk about when times are chill. I'm telling you right now, whether the good guys or the bad guys are telling you to be emotional, they are snaking you and they don't even know it, some of them. You are being snaked. Emotions are not a good thing at all. Feelings are a good thing. What's the difference? A feeling you have. I am sad. Charlie was a good guy. Emotions have you. They keep you unconscious. They ruin the next 2 months of your life. They make you a bitch. They make you cry. They make you break up with that girl. It makes everything harder for you. Look at the George Floyd. Look at every time there's a tragedy, you have another 6 to 7 months of depression because you're a fucking faggot. Because you listen to Nick, you listen to Hassan, you listen to everyone who wants you to stay unconscious. Dude, don't get me wrong. When I'm at war and I'm live on my channel, I love an unconscious chat. I love you guys unconsciously defending me on everything. I love that shit, right? Makes me feel right. That's how you run a fucking pawn game. But my inner crowd to act like fucking pawns and faggots? Are you serious? Are you fucking serious? You guys DMing me all sorts of nonsense. Listen, the way I see it, as soon as I saw his throat get blasted, I was mixed with emotions, but I didn't let them have me. Matter of fact, I smiled. I said, look, I'm emotional for Charlie Kirk when I'm going to pause right now because I'm a grown man and I'm going to turn this emotion into feeling and I feel sad. But I'm not going to be emotional. Are you fucking kidding me? The difference from emotional and feeling is that one is unconscious and the other is conscious. You can have a conscious feeling about sadness. You're not allowed to go unconscious in my inner circle and project negative thought forms for 2 months like a faggot in my inner circle. Are you fucking pathetic? Imagine we're at war right now, and we are. But imagine they got swords and they're like, hey, the enemy's unconscious right now. They're in a fearful state for the next 2 weeks because their leaders are telling them to be emotional. Are you fucking kidding me? I don't need thousands of fucking sheep. I need lions around me, dude. I can't be a lion unless I get lion DMs. And look, here's the truth. As sad as I was, and I don't think I've ever, one in the chat, if I don't think I've ever been more sad for a public execution like this, right? And to be fair, I was sad with George Floyd. A lot of people don't know this about me. Anyone else was sad about George Floyd? It was just a sad situation, but I didn't go unconscious. And I keep not going unconscious because I'm not a little boy. And some of you guys are really convinced that you know how to mourn in the world. Let me tell you this, dude. What Charlie Kirk just went through is nothing compared to when bad things happen to you, when it's personal, when it's really close to home. And you are training your mind to go more unconscious. Bro, when you're unconscious, the enemy hijacks your mind. You already have to think about, holy shit, everything makes a man go unconscious. Everything makes me lean back in a chair, go unconscious and listen to Zerka. But I'll tell you right now, you're allowed to mourn if you're conscious about it. You're not allowed to mourn if you're unconscious about it. You're a danger to yourself if you think that's normal. Just because your parents do it, you think that's normal? Just because your parents and Nick and everyone's telling you to be emotional, you think that's like, what, you're going to come to my classroom and think that's normal? When have we ever followed the normal? All we do is stay on guard for our brain because our brain either makes us a fucking success story and then some, runs us off the fucking edge. Why? Zerka, how come you make so much success for yourself and then you destroy so many things? Because that's the momentum of the mind, dude. Some people have this outward mind like mine, and a lot of people gravitate towards me with this outward mind. What's an outward mind when you're emotional? It's massive destruction in your own life. No one's fucking gonna help you. You think someone's gonna help you because you're emotional about Charlie Kirk? You think going unconscious has ever given you anything in your life? Just because your parents are used to going sad and unconscious, you want to be them? How old are you? If you're over the age of 21, you are a man. Your ego, your I am presence has just solidified. But my parents and grandparents are sad, therefore I gotta be sad. You don't have to be sad in a sad situation. Because let me tell you this, you've got another 50, 80 years of things coming at you. And you can't handle one political assassination as if you don't know that you're the product of these times. Everyone shares the blame for Charlie's. It's not just the left and right. The society is built by both sides, you fucking idiot. That means if you're sharing in the blame, snap the fuck out of it. Enough. You're sharing in the blame because you've been unconscious for 10 years. You think this is fucking you think this is so normal. And the one guy that I saw get it right, besides me, because I am a fucking genius. And look, if I was live, I wouldn't tell a bunch of fucking stupid idiots this advice. I don't think they could even absorb it, right? But I think you guys are very prepared with the content I give you guys for like how long's it been? Insider info. And yeah, a lot of people are like, wait, Zerka, I don't get how come your insider information isn't for the external world. It's not. That sounds evil, John. It's just not. And unless that's like giving someone fucking calculus who's never done math. You guys have absorbed my content. You guys will download it. You're not going to be emotional little bitches about it by the end of this call. You're going to be back to feeling your nuts. You're going to look at the Charlie Kirk thing and be like, you know what? I can see both sides of this. Why do you have to see both sides? So you know your enemy. Yeah, you have to watch their memes. These Democrat evil memes making fun of him getting his fucking throat blasted. The first thing I said after I was done being sad for 5 minutes, the first thing I said to myself was, I'm going to smile through this because I don't allow negative thought forms to shoot out of my brain if I'm conscious about it. I've never been a guy to shoot negative thought forms when I'm conscious. I've only done that when I'm unconscious. Some people do both. Some people are that pathetic. And I'll tell you this, bro. Imagine if Charlie saw how many weak right-wingers going unconscious right now. Some are going to go so unconscious to do their own type of violence. And your inner voice inside is going to cheer for that. You don't want to cheer for that. You're already a part of collective blame. You don't want to be involved with any more of this, right? So yeah, I smiled. I said, look at that. The greatest tragedy I've ever seen. This is way worse than George Floyd. This is the greatest tragedy I've ever seen. And look at me. I'm smiling because it's not affecting me. It's not. It affected me for 5 minutes. But guess what? I want solutions that are conscious. Okay? Crying like a bitch on camera. That's what everyone's doing to get their 100,000 clicks. Yeah, you know what's funny about crying like a bitch on camera? Doesn't the whole world do it? Isn't that what all of you just did privately in your own rooms? Isn't that if you guys had your own channels, what would you guys do? The first thing you do is give your little gay speech. And I'm like, damn, I remember why I chose Trump. He's the only one who didn't turn into a faggot in all of this. He's the only one that kept level-headed. He didn't allow himself to get sad in a sad situation, right? He doesn't allow himself to lose his conscious state because he's trained better than that. And Trump is the only one who nailed it. Like, look in Trump's face when he addresses the issues. Bro, in times of big, stressful situations, you want to act like a crybaby bitch? So let me get this straight. And bro, I'm not these guys who think, well, he got shot in the neck, therefore we look strong. Are you fucking stupid? That's what you say to mourning people, but you don't tell your inner group that. Your inner group of men that have to be conscious in the world, that have to get their shit done, that are in danger to these kinds of psychopaths. If you're in danger, you want to be as conscious as you can. Only a conscious nigga can blast another nigga with a gun in self-defense, bro. Unconscious black niggas always miss. How many times do black guys miss with their fucking rifles, with their guns? All the time, because they're not conscious. You look at the military, they're very conscious. They're cutting through the enemy. They're advancing position. They're not crying like little bitches. Are you fucking stupid? And you want to be a part of that group soul. You want to feel, John, I want to feel more feel. So I'm watching all the content I can on this. It's like, dude, what for the last year I've been talking about the mind and how it works, and you really think you could pollute your mind with this much bitch nigga energy? Yes, it requires bitch nigga energy to be emotional. My emotions have me, John. Why do they have you? Why don't you have a feeling of sadness? Why does it have to have you? Because some fucking streamers told you that's how you that's the normal. What about in war? Let's say you're at war right now. Is that normal? Or is Donald Trump the only one to act right in this whole situation? And he got no credit for it because people want to do their emotional hooplas. He got zero fucking clicks compared to a lot of influencers. Donald Trump's the only one acting like a man, right? Because he knows the enemy's watching, dude. The enemy, you think getting blasted in the throat makes you look tough? No, it makes our side look weak. And crying about it on social media makes us look even weaker, makes us look like unconscious animals, when really conscious animals is what we want to be, right? And so I didn't want to do this call, to burst your guys' parade, because humans love to be attached to their suffering and all that gay shit. But I'm here to say, listen, man, there's more tragedies coming. And I'm not trying to sound like a nihilist or any of that. I'm just saying, look in your own personal life. Okay? You don't honor Charlie Kirk by crying like a bitch. Most of you guys haven't even met the guy in person. You're crying because you're unconscious. All right? Yeah. And check this out. One in the chat, if it was the most emotional thing to happen in social media history. I can't think of a time worse than this, really. A lot of people are going to say I'm sensationalizing it because he's on my team. That's not why. It's because he got blasted in the fucking throat savagely by a monster, like a monster. And as much as we want to say he's a coward with a sniper, no real sniper that's conscious on earth will say that kid's a coward. You know what they'll say? They'll say there's losers and winners in war. And right now we're losing bad. I don't care how many fucking MAGA tards want to come out and say this is brave, this is getting shot in the neck is brave. It's just, no, we're losing. We lost. This is a fallen soldier. Let's treat it correctly, right? It's humiliating what they're doing to us. And no one wants to say it because they don't want the whole internet to attack them. And I get it. I don't want to get doxxed by 100 million unconscious buffoons, idiots. I don't give a fuck about getting doxxed, destroyed because they can't understand the deeper message. It always goes down to the same thing. In the world of mind and thought forms and how this world works, what does pressure mean? You guys are under a lot of pressure with this Charlie thing. I am not, but you guys are. And I should be, because I could be next, right? That's how everyone texts me and they message me and I'm like, okay, I get what you're saying. But let me tell you this, man. If pressure means war, and this is how you guys act during times of war, why don't you just look in the mirror and admit you're useless? Because Netanyahu's smiling and very conscious. He's making his next move. What happens when a girl breaks up with you guys? Do you guys go as unconscious as you did for Charlie Kirk? What happens when you lose a loved one? Are you going to go unconscious enough to hurt yourself or someone else? What happens when tragedy strikes you in the heart? Are you going to look at influencers that want to feel feels with you, faggot feels? Or are you going to think of Zerka and say, you know what? Everything he said makes sense, even though it kills my suffering and I hate that. One in the chat if we were enjoying our pain. One in the chat if everyone addicted to their phone right now is enjoying the sadness. One in the chat if humans enjoy sadness. Oh yeah, they do. In a week, 2 weeks from now, you guys got to move on with your life. You know that. You guys got to go back to being conscious. So why don't you start right now when you're in the most in danger, like this second? And here's the truth. If I was talking to Goebbels or any chief of propaganda, which is what an influencer is, they'd say this is horrific things to tell your base. But you guys are not my base, are you? I'm not even live. I'm in my inner circle who pay me big money to talk about how to navigate in the world. You guys pay me big money. Hey, Zerka, how should I move in case I don't have you around, but I want to think of what your take would be? What do you think my take would be? Same take I've had for George Floyd, same take I've had for every tragedy. You should smile at the idea that, oh my God, they almost had me. I was almost emotionally unconscious for 2 weeks straight. But you should be terrified that I woke you up and you didn't wake yourself up. You're 21 years old, bro. You're an old man now. You're old enough to catch yourself being swept in the ocean of mind. The mind is, bro, I'm telling you, it's an ocean. You're getting swept up, and you need me to give you guys free extra content to say snap out of it. Would I talk to the masses like this? No, not even Trump would. Because the masses they don't have their own I am presence. They love to get swept by the waves. However, a lot of people are not linking what kind of humans get swept up by waves the most, right? And it's guys who get their partners cheat on them, guys who lose job positions at work, their dream jobs, a lot of unconscious behavior. I mean, let's look at the facts. One in the chat if you've only had bad things happen to you when you were unconscious, but you were having a lot of fun. So if you're here to stay razor sharp like a fucking bullet, bro, and fucking armored piercing round, the first thing you have to do is say, why did Zerka go live on our group right now on his Discord in times of such pressure? Why does he not want to feel feels with us? Because since ancient times, since medieval times, the women and children would gather together to feel feels. No man would ever do that. And I'm not saying suppress your emotions and all that gay shit. I'm just saying stay active. Only women and children would do what the internet is doing right now. Your side is getting humiliated, blasted in the throat. They're laughing. They're making TikToks laughing at how easy it is to kill our side. And you want to feel feels like a faggot just because it gets someone a lot of views. Therefore, he has the right position. He's going to lead us. No, only Donald Trump has the right position here because he didn't fucking cry on camera like a bitch. But Zerka, are you saying that you can't shed tears for Charlie? No, I did. One in the chat if you shed tears within a minute of watching the video. Just you get his voice in the back of your head where you immediately, your eyes get watery because you think of, wait a minute, he's the nerd. He's the nice guy. He doesn't even say swear words. So for me, the softies that always get it the hardest, they've always been my sweet spot. They've always made me the most emotional. When I saw it, I was like, but this guy's like our college. We grew up with this guy. How the fuck did he get blasted in the throat like that? And I'm using vulgar language to snap you guys out of it because it was a vulgar thing that happened. Now, navigating in your life, let's say you're at war right now and you're emotional, you guys are going to get your heads cut off, turning into unconscious doom scroll machines looking for the next feels for your feels. My dude, feelings tell you if something is right or wrong. Thinking tells you what it is, or tries to. It's an apprehension tool, just like your ear. It's an instrument. But when we look at What is the way to use feeling in the world? It's to feel something, not let it grab you by the throat and drag you into whatever it wants. And it doesn't even have a goal. Have you noticed emotional people don't have a goal with their emotions? They're just riding different waves and different chats and blah, blah. Well, Sneeko's not emotional enough, so I'm going to go to a different channel. And then I get a bunch of DMs saying, Zerko, you're too cold. You didn't even shed a tear. You didn't give a fuck. And I'm like, I don't get moved by trauma during war. This is a political assassination. This is not a bus running him over, bro. I will never be moved by something external during war where I can get shot too. You guys can get shot and everyone you know can get hurt. That is the corniest thing you could do in a time like this. That's why Donald Trump's the only one to have the right reaction. And his reaction got the lowest amount of views because the masses don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck about being strong. Now, it is strange how I've never met Charlie in person, but I felt like I knew him more than in a different way. I've had back and forth with Ben Shapiro, and I still didn't feel like I know Ben face to face. But Charlie, I've always felt like it was just easy to go up and talk to him on some TikTok, on some weird way. So it was when people are like, man, your reaction's cold, your reaction's this. And I'm like, I'm not a fucking bitch. I'll tell you the truth right now. I want to be just like you guys. Everyone wants to be a bitch and cry. That gets nothing done in this world. Can someone name one channel that's emotional right now? I'm not going to make fun of you. Name one channel that actually had some good takes, but they were emotional like a little girl. Because there are no good takes in being emotional. I don't think there are. That's why Trump handled it the best. And the fact that no one understands what Trump is doing right now is the difference from him and how he was raised by his Kabbalah teacher versus you guys. You're raised by government emotions. The Jew, the whatever you want to call it, will trick you the best when you're emotional, guys. And don't think I'm going to make esoteric mind videos on emotions. Unless emotions are high, you guys will never get penetrated by what I'm saying. There's a lot of things I say you guys don't even write down. But right now, of all times, you should remember, wow, why does Zerka sound so brutal right now? Because war is brutal. And that is war, when they start taking out our guys in front of our eyes, humiliating us. That's a good Christian doing the right thing. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, Maya cried. I got emotional too. You know, a lot of people are not going to believe this. I was swept. Mine was very short because I read only about the mind. I get how humans go unconscious. I get that there's a million different eyes in our inner nature trying to come out and hijack the conscious scene. And I get that nothing good comes from that, right? I understand why it's there. A lot of people don't want to use their own minds, so they'd rather let someone hijack it. And I get that I can make 100 million views being emotional on camera like everyone else. It's against what I teach. Unless I was mobilizing an army, that shit would be useless. But check this out. As the inner group, my point is you shouldn't be someone's soldier because you don't know if you have that snapping thing in you. Right now, one influencer can, by accident, not intentionally, but by accident, trick you into doing something you should not have done. Correct? And I always try and compare things to a real world situation. Like, how many times have you texted someone something you shouldn't have texted because you're emotional? How many times have you said something to a family or a friend or a girlfriend, something that you shouldn't have said because you were emotional? And why is this any different? Now that I've snapped you guys out of that spell, let's go into the emotions now that we're all conscious about it. Okay, let's go check out why is this so tragic? Like, Obviously, I'm speaking now, so it sounds a little cold. But if you guys were with me when it happened, and I found out 2 hours after it happened, I don't know if you guys are like me, but I saw the marker, it said 2 hours. And I was the only one who tweeted that he's dead. Oh no, a shot like that, he's dead. He's not coming back from that. I got a lot of people saying, no, no, he's gonna make it and stuff. And I believe in wishful thinking and stuff like that. But anyone else notice that this is written in the turning point of the stars? That this is probably a, on the other side of the humiliation coin, there's always something that balances it out, that makes us think there is a lot of honor to the way Charlie left. It's not just humiliation. There's a lot of honor in being the turning point of America. That's huge for his legacy. Now, did he want to go out like that? Fuck no, he has daughters, man. He has daughters. But he's going through a transformative process in his soul, and it is a great thing to be a good guy and get blasted. He was a good guy. I know a lot of. Is anyone here, and we're not going to attack you, was anyone here a hater of Charlie's? Like, I will see the other side. I'm not emotional. I get that, if I was a black guy, he would tick me off. I get it. Imagine being a black guy and hearing Charlie speak, right? You'd feel like, damn, I'm just trying to do my job, go to work, be an average guy, and this guy keeps telling me I'm a crook. I totally get that side, right? But you got to remember, the people who keep society together are people like Charlie. So all the good you see in society is usually from softies like him. It's not from just a black guy going to work, or just a Zerka going to work, or any of that stuff, right? Usually it's these stand-up guys that keep society glued together. Obviously, Charlie would be considered the radical type. Not to me, but in the average sense, that the average guy doesn't have inflammatory opinions at all. But you got to see it from both sides, because that's the only way you'll ever realize, damn, you guys could be in danger for something you say. 100%. Right? 100%. You guys, if you cannot see the other side's point of view, which I'm so tired of our side. What did Hassan Piker, that snake, say? That it's so obvious right-wing politics dominate the blah, blah. Bro, shitting on Charlie is getting 700,000 likes. I've never seen things like that. There's a lot of them out there. That's not bots, dude. There's a lot of George Floyd lovers out there that want you dead for a joke. Let's make no mistake about that. And I'm not trying to fearmonger. I'm just saying it how it is. Yo, do not pretend like the media is all right wing because they are holding his casket. There's a lot of people out there that are jumping up and down. The way the right wingers are making it sound is like, oh, it's some TikTok girls. No, bro. There's a lot of professionals in suits and ties, high level liberal corporate elites that are jumping up and down and laughing at Charlie right now. The last thing he was talking about was gun control. Bang, they have an excuse, which is so funny. It was a no-gun zone, so I don't know what their excuse is. But imagine they took away the guns because of this. Right? Imagine this was that turning point. That would be horrifying. Because you guys, if you ever don't know which side of the argument you're on for gun control, is gun control just means you take guns away from the good guys. Because bad guys don't even register their shit. It's all fucking under the table, right? So anytime someone talks about gun control, they're saying the good guys need to lose them too, just because there might be some accidental misfirings here and there, which is insanity for American culture. To imagine America banned guns, that would be insanity. Like, just go to Chicago. I think they banned guns, right? How fucking safe do you feel in Chicago because they did what you wanted them to do? Like, come on, bro. Come on. Granny needs a gun to protect herself. Be realistic. But yeah, any questions? You guys can take the floor now. Didn't want to be here long. I just wanted to snap you guys out of it because I felt like it's my moral obligation to keep you guys conscious. Never tell you guys what to think, But if we agree, we should all be aligned, right? But never actually tell you guys what to think because that actually makes this group weaker, right? Now, if I'm live streaming, obviously I want to hijack the mindset, and I'm not a good guy, right? I'll easily do that like all the nicks, that everyone's, right? I'll easily hijack the hive mind because the hive mind is chaotic without a leader. But here, where we need to only ever focus on the esoteric because all we give a fuck about is emails saying my life's getting a lot better. That's all we need to focus on for my progression, at least, right? So, yeah, we're going to go to the questions, and guys, just be as conscious as you can, right? And if you have questions like, but Zerka, I'm still crying about it and stuff, bro, I sympathize with you too, 100%. People in my personal life, close life, they said, Zerka, you're the closest to Charlie if you think about what you do for a living and all that. Shouldn't you be the most emotional? And I would just stay quiet with these people in my personal life. No matter how hard they try to get me into the crying parade, I would just stay quiet because they didn't have a year of esoteric streams listening to me. So they're not prepared to hear what I have to say. And so I just kept it to myself. But yeah, it's a tragic thing. Now, am I surprised that for everyone this feels like, wow, a political assassination? We have too many. Actually, no, I'm on the other side of the fence on this. Anyone else feel like this was long overdue? Like political assassinations, I was predicting last year it would start. I'm shocked that it's like a year later. Anyone else on that train? Because I've always come from the mind that the left, liberals, and Democrats are all somewhat in different percentages mentally ill. So I've always come from the position that this would have happened way earlier, right? But this feels like it happened way later, in my opinion, right? And hopefully it stops. But the true position is this is an Israeli hit. Make no mistake about this is an MK Ultra perfect hit. They even got a Republican type to take the fall. Like that is madness, right? Just absolute madness. And a bunch of you saying that was a perfect shot. No, it wasn't. That's not a sniper shot. That was actually dangerously close to fucking up the whole mission. Okay. And it wasn't that far away. I don't know why everyone keeps talking about, oh, it was so far away. It was a perfect shot. It wasn't that far. Like, relax. We saw the guy on the roof. It's a hunting shot. Yeah. That was a duck shot. Do you think Trump is actually on our side? I'd never answer questions like someone's on my side or not. People are on your side and then they get emotional and switch sides and then they get emotional and switch back. And people look at the weather, right? Look at time, how it moves, how people change. There's a mixed bag of good and bad with everyone, sympathies and antipathies in the esoteric mind. That's what you should research. And really, you should never see someone as like a good guy or a bad guy. Trump's our guy because he speaks for a lot of us. But to think he doesn't have a lot of evils, that's lunacy. You have to always get in the middle of it. And you guys are going to be like, but Zerka, that means I don't hate my ex-girlfriend. That means I don't hate this politician. That means I don't hate anyone. Because there's a mixed good and bad with all of them. And I'm like, yeah, that's the truth. There is no such thing as just, like even the guy with dreadlocks that off the Ukrainian woman, he's had many times in his life where he was also good. Or even neutral, but make no mistake about that. There's moments of evil, right? People who have more moments, they amplify. They stick together. But as soon as you guys message me and say, wow, Zerka, I can't hate my mom, I can't hate my girlfriend, I can't hate this politician, I cannot hate anyone anymore because of the way you make me think. And it's like, yeah, that's good. You're fixing your whole life. Hate's a strong ass word, nigga. It's like you hate yourself if you're looking for reasons to hate people. Now, I'll tell you this. Trump was mostly a force of positive good. But again, for me, it's the spirit of the times. The spirit of the times is dead children in Palestine. So I predict that Trump his task is Palestine. I predict that's his, not because I'm just against the Israelis and stuff. Not just for my own agenda, but for the greater good, right? I believe he's got a lot to pay for in afterlife if he doesn't get that solved, right? So yeah, it's always about the focal point of where all of the psychic trauma is happening, and that is Palestine right now. So we got to look at Trump there, and he's nowhere to be found there. So would I say Trump is all bad or all good? No, but he's never had a worse year than this year. You know, if you think about it, we're looking at karmic experiences on Earth, right? Because we want to glide through life. Not that it's not going to have bumpy waves, but we want to always be surfing. We don't ever want to go up. Trump's awesome. Down. Trump sucks. We don't want that kind of thinking ever to plague us. Now, I know a lot of guys under 25 years old love that. I loved it. It's not like I was, Zerka, you were different at 25 because you read all this stuff. No, I read stuff and I still was the same me, right? But again, you want these 70 years on earth to not hate anyone. You can dislike people. You can even punch people in the face if you're conscious about it. But you cannot be this hate wagoning weirdo because let me tell you this, man. I've done both. I've been on both sides of this, dude. And I'm telling you right now, unless one of you messages me and says you have a big channel with a lot of viewers, yeah, then you can farm emotion. Obviously, you have to control your chat. The only way you control them is to protect yourself and be aligned with them. I get that that's why people do it. I get that it's also genuine. But if someone's paying me for a service saying, hey, make sure that every single day of my life I look forward to waking up and applying my thinking style, well, let me tell you this. Some days you cannot look forward to waking up because you're unconscious and you're awake. And now you're in fucked fight or flight energy. Correct? That's the danger is we don't want that from any of you, right? We don't need unconscious energy from anyone. So yeah, was I sad about Charlie? 100%. Did I smile within 5 minutes because I knew I was getting swept by emotional waves? Yeah, I smiled alone in my room and I said, look at that. That's the quickest I've ever caught that. Usually they have me for a few hours. Usually they let me scroll for whatever. Usually it's all this big hoopla. But this time it was 5 minutes and then I smiled and said, no, I'm going to mourn Charlie's death without giving my energy. There's no vampiric parasites floating in my room that are going to get excited because I know this is how the world works. I've spent many years under these kind of spells. I refuse this. And I'm not struggling with it. I smile to it. I refuse it gently, right? The way of non-action. Hey, it's just water off my back. You get that? Now we'll stay on the subject, guys, of Charlie. I want to make this call hammer you guys hard. Basically, give you guys a new perspective where you guys immediately think, "Whoa, the Zerka perspective allows me to go back to my day and the things I have to do right because I am at war." Or you can go back into your fields. I know most of you are going to do that, especially the young guys are going to go back to magnetic energy of feels. You're going to go back to being, hooked on someone's stream and watching all that. That's fine. It's not like I'll beat you with a stick over that, right? But as long as you're slightly conscious to what's happening to you, as long as you're slightly conscious to who you're texting today, you don't want to text any emotional, unconscious things. And for the better part of your life, you don't want to look like a bitch in times of war because they'll come cut your head off for that. It's not just your wife thinking this guy can't control himself because he got what? He got assassinated in front of the world in high definition. Like one in the chat, if that was a nightmare to happen. One in the chat if that was the highest level nightmare for an influencer to go through. And the nightmare didn't end there because there's 700,000 likes. There's on tweets saying the nigga deserved it. They're laughing and dancing, hoping to make you unconscious. So you do something so they can have more power. It's all under the layers. They will need you to be unconscious right now. And Trump's the only one who caught it. Me, I read these books every day of my life, so for me it was easy to catch because my mind's already on how how conscious am I, you know? Um, if you ever don't understand what I'm saying here, if you're new here, just let's look at a high level businessman versus a low level businessman. The guys who make money are usually a lot more conscious and active and intentional with their day. And you only have like a couple hours a day of perfect consciousness, right? Where you're getting everything done that's supposed to happen. Now, if you're coming at me with this whole trajectory of, but Zirka, I don't have anything to do today. Can I get emotional now? Sure. As long as you don't have hatred in your heart, you're on your mystical path, things will be less blurry, right? Because at the end of the day, dude, you know the greatest, darkest thing a man can do is mislead a group talking about a spiritual path. That is the greatest error I could do in my life is go live right now, get a bunch of viewers. Oh, everything's great because everyone's mourning together. But most of the guys that watch me are not political. They're actually here for the esoteric. They're here for, hey, Zerka, are we talking about soul progression? Yeah, if we're talking about soul progression, we're not allowed to be unconscious ever. We save that for sleep. So we germinate good ideas into the world. So we get lucky again. So women follow us. So money follows us. And what do we learn from those superficial aspects? We learn magneticism. We learn that we don't even want those things. We just want to be magnetic to the people around us that we love. We learn energy. We learn the big titty leftist bitch when she talks about vibes. And as stupid as it sounds, what were your vibrations before I started this call? How dark were your vibrations, Chad? What were you oscillating back and forth from sense to nonsense thoughts? We have to interrupt high level of emotions. We don't know first of all, we don't need whirlwinds in our hearts, especially if we're in a crusade. Oh no. We want to be calm. And if we want to be energetic and run towards Valhalla, we want to do it consciously. So we see the whole enemy and then swing our battle axe. But to think that Vikings were unconscious, no, they weren't. Even when they're filled with rage in their hearts, they were conscious. That's why they won. You think Adolf was unconscious? Even under drugs, he was focused and concentrated on the task at hand. And I'm telling you guys have tasks every day of your life that have you noticed that if you miss a task, it's not the end of the world, but it's the end of doing that task for 7 days in a row? Have you ever noticed that, oh shit, you can trip and keep tripping? Once you notice that, you go, okay, so Zerka, what is it? Is this just Jedi mind tricks? Is it when they say, use your feelings, Anakin, or mind your feeling, mind your thoughts, Anakin? You think that we as a pop culture society love Star Wars because it's fake, or is it because it's literally based on reality, how reality works with the Force? That's why there was such a big spiritual call when Star Wars came out to television theaters. There was a huge awakening. Some people are going psychedelic crazy on that shit. But these awakenings happen through pop culture. It mirrors our soul and what we want. We want to be Jedis in the world, man. Because you have to fight, and Jedi Knights fight, but they're conscious, man. We don't want to go to the dark side. Not that it doesn't work, right? It very much works. It's just I don't think many people would join my calls to talk about their incarnation purpose if they wanted to go about it the dark side of through the dark side of the Force. And we got to start linking this because when I give my students Star Wars and I go, Do you understand Star Wars so you can understand this stuff better so I don't have to use big terminology for you? Do you understand that the world is actually that fun, that it is Star Wars? Do you understand what I'm saying by this? That you don't have to read these books as long as you understand Star Wars a little bit? That you'll have parts of your day where you are a Jedi and parts of your day where you're Jar Jar Binks. I'm going unconscious. I'm crying for Charlie. I've been crying for like 2 days. Jar Jar crying for 2 days. And I gotta bring some jokes to center everyone like, hey man, the enemy's gonna get us killed if we don't lighten up on the emotions a bit, bro. They're taking you nowhere fast. And if they did take you somewhere, we'd see it. Name one emotional streamer right now that is benefiting from being emotional. I know that their channels are benefiting because people like to cry together. But honestly, what are they getting out of it? If we don't count some kind of clout and money aspect to it, which could be for all sorts of dark shit. What are they getting from it? They're always going to be quicker to cry like a bitch in front of their wife, in front of the enemy, in front of a road rage guy with a gun when they're kidnapped. In every bad situation, you are worse unconscious. Make no mistake about that. All right, that's the questions at. I didn't watch Ben Shapiro. I didn't see anything. He said something about taking up the torch. That's about it. And you know, a joke that ran through my head after I was finished being emotional, because bro, usually it takes me out. Yo, one in the chat if it takes you hours to actually get fully sad for Charlie, but this time it happened in 5 minutes or 2 minutes of watching him get hit. Within 2 minutes of him getting hit, immediately I was like, whoa, that's just a choir boy. That's a nice kid. That guy didn't go out and challenge the world like they say. He's just doing his political thing that you would also do if you were in his shoes. Everyone would do that. Everyone already does that to some degree. They speak their mind about things that rub people the wrong way. We've all done that in front of our family and friends. Like, bro, that's a normal thing to generate thoughts into the world, thought forms. And he's crafting his thought forms and then banged out. He gets blasted for his thought form. Right? Or for challenging Israel. Yeah, I did see Aiden. He was unaffected. So to me, it's like, yeah, I like that Aiden was not unconscious. But in a weird way, I feel like he didn't give a fuck. Anyone else get that vibe? He just didn't care. Like he could do the whole send money to it, but for me, I called my brother and I was like, "Hey man, what you were right," because my brother said, "Hey, turn on the news, wake up." And I woke up late, like 2 p.m. ish, or I don't know what time it was, but it was like 2 hours after it happened. So let me know the time if you have it. And I called my brother and I'm like, "That's a nightmare." And my brother's like, "Yeah." And we always thought this guy is too boring to even watch his content, to be fair. I don't know if you guys are like that, but I've always thought that Charlie was so polite that I couldn't watch. I just not my style. So to me, those are the cutest people on earth. Like the most polite people are the people I want to cherish, protect the most. And I had a huge issues with him dick riding for Israel, which now I kind of feel bad about because there's secret insider messages saying that he was waking up to the Israel question. And the real me is like, yeah, you're a little late, buddy. But this guy has kids. This guy has a wife that cares. And this guy's just a citizen. He's not like some crusader or whatever you want. He is a citizen, a nice kid. And he gets punctured in the neck by this radicalized psycho MK Ultra fuck. I thought the most interesting part of the story is the dad ratting out the son. Anyone else find that kind of weird? Like, I come from a world where dads can never do that. Like, that blew me away the most is like, wait, what? He gets a death penalty because the dad. I come from world where no dad can do that. Like anyone else, maybe the Albanian upbringing, but no, I have a lot of very Nordic white friends who said the same thing. They said, no, I don't think my dad would ever, I don't know a dad, whether Filipino, Nordic, or Albanian. I don't know a dad that would do that. That was probably the funniest thing. It's like the dad went and just told the authorities, right? I don't think my dad would do that. Do you guys think your dad would rat on you if you guys were? You ever think about things like that? Like, wow, yeah, tough call, right? Because you don't realize how tough of that call that is until you realize the kid gets the death penalty. Zerga, how does America move forward and speak out in public now or deal with this left issue, taking out bullets for opinions? How do we prevent our necks being exploded but not stoop down to their level? Well, I'll give you the phony answer first that everyone is going to tell you just be strong, don't back down. I am tough, I am strong. I will not back down. And it's like, you guys are my children. Do you understand that? Even deeper than children, I take your money. You know what I mean? To live my awesome life. So let's get to the brass tacks of nigga comments like this. Chat, listen to me, boys. I'm not going to change. I'm still going to grab the microphone and speak my mind, not because I want to look tough or blah, blah, blah. It's just, I know who I am. But do I think you guys should go risk your lives? Are you fucking retarded? Do I think you guys should go up and risk your life? First of all, understand you're at war. That this happens in fourth world countries, nigga. Political assassinations, America just became fourth world. So before you do anything courageous, just remember what Zerka said. You have to be conscious when you're courageous. You can't be unconscious. You can't let them knife you in the back with their dreadlocks. You can't get killed and think, I was being brave, weakening our side. Yeah, when we get killed, when our best and brightest get killed, you can say martyr all you want. It's bad for us. Killing needs to stop. It's not good for our side to get blasted, especially on TV. Are you fucking stupid? You guys really think I'm going to tell you to go be courageous without watching your back? And as far as I'm concerned, sniping someone from the front is hitting them from the back. He wasn't ready for that, you fucking coward. But let's be realistic. Let's look at just the art of war. Was he a coward? That's irrelevant. Everyone who wants to emotion farm can say that, but he was the winner that day. That little bitch was the winner. There's winners and losers, and you will stop thinking about was he a coward when it's someone in your family getting sniped. Then you'll think of winning and losing immediately, and you'll think of my voice. Then you'll realize, oh, wait a minute. This is no game. People die. And if I'm Zerka's pupil and I want to do this for a living, the one thing Zerka says to me is, you're not allowed to go outside without consciously watching your back, literally making an effort. And I come from a line of thinking that I'm telling you right now, 10% of prevented measure does the whole thing. I'm telling you, if you just go outside into the world with the idea that war can happen, war is on. Maybe the temperature turns down, but it can immediately turn back up. If you go out into the world, you're never going to sit next to a dreadlocks black guy and be my student. I don't give a fuck how many podcasts you see Zerka on with black guys with dreadlocks. I don't care how many times you see me breaking my own rule. You're not going to do that. You're not going to sit next to demons that are unconscious. You're not going to be around. Like, let's be real, man. To be easy to get sniped, There's nothing easier than that event. Like they, and one in the chat, if Charlie kind of gave it to this guy, just out in the open, all you needed is a deeper tent and he would be unnoticeable. Isn't that weird? If it was just a deeper tent, he'd be unnoticeable to the gunfire, or the shot might have hit his arm. Zerga, did he deserve it? No. There's no tragedy on earth where someone deserves it, right? Even if it's karmically tied, because you're supposed to break the cycle, or else everyone gets punished collectively. Don't forget how this world works. It's war of all against all, meaning if all aren't right, nobody's right. So, of course not, he didn't deserve it. But can Zerka sit down with a leftist and see their point of view without crying like a bitch? Yeah, I can. A leftist will sit down and say, that guy has been marginalizing my people for so long, making me feel unworthy of anything in society, making me insecure and afraid. If you cannot see your enemy's point of view, you don't know your enemy. You understand? You won't know when you're sitting next to them. And my words will do nothing for you. And another thing you guys got to realize is a lot of stuff like this is not that personal, really. How personal is it to, let's say it was a trans person. Let's say I got shot by a trans person today. Is it that personal, or is the trans shooter just unconscious? Like, let's be real. You get demons inside of you when you're unconscious. Things can just animate your soul. They can just take you for a ride, your body. You know what I mean? So some of you guys got to let go of the personal and just really be effective in the world. Do I think Charlie Kirk could have prevented this? Well, it's written in the stars that he has to go out like this. But I do believe in preventative measures, not because the tent could have been lower, it could have, but because putting thought into protection, some more extra thought actually affects the outcome of the world, can affect your destiny too when you're conscious, when you're crafting the correct thought forms. Like, for example, a bunch of you guys could go out today, 50 days in a row, convinced someone's going to shoot you and it won't happen because that's all you're thinking about. And how ridiculous it sounds. But when you least suspect it, you will get popped. You will get, it's kind of like at the club when you get punched by some drunk dude. It's when you least suspect it, when he shakes your hand, when he does, right? Now, I come from the line of thinking that even if this didn't happen, I always say we're at war. Why? Because crazy stuff happens. Even if this Charlie thing didn't happen, what about the Ukrainian woman? Is that not a type of war against these unconscious demons? They get to play demon for 20 minutes. Some of these black guys play demon for 8 years, right? And that's not to say, hey, I'm a white guy, I should be scared. No, if you're a black guy, you can easily get attacked by an unconscious black guy. Like, are you fucking stupid? Like, come on. Are you kidding me? You saw HS wants to squash the beef with you. No, I didn't see that, but this is like off topic, bro. Greggy, the whole thesis of what I'm trying to say is, first of all, HS is black. No, we're not doing that today. First of all, he's black, bro. No, I never see that guy's black. I see him as something else. I don't know why. Anytime someone has like a British accent, I see them as something. I don't know why. Even Muslim, have you seen Arab guys with accents, the British accents? I never consider them Arab because they sound British. I consider them something fucking in this other category. Something like when someone can understand English puns and memes, they stop being a part of their culture to me. But if they can't understand it and they're very Borat, like Arab or whatever that Jew was. But anyways, what I was trying to say is Look at the faces of the channels you guys are watching when they're emotionally talking about Charlie, and you'll realize these faces should not be at war at all. Like 0%. You'll see little kids crying up and down, and I don't care about your ability with your biceps, dude. I don't care how big your biceps are because guess what? That killer was skinny as fuck, but calmly shot down the enemy and got away with it. That's how I knew there were some layers of consciousness there. It's not that he was deeply crying when he did it. It's he got away with it. FBI didn't know how to find this nigga. Like what? They needed the dad to rat him out. Like that to me, that's crazy that you can get away with something like that in broad camera filled daylight. And we're just sitting here thinking, like, why couldn't it have been Ben? I'm kidding. I can't resist, guys. Cannot resist. I cannot resist, man. I have my cigarette at war, and I'm just coffee, cigarette, and I know I'm at war, so I make jokes, right? That's what you do with the boys, right? Like the movie Fury. Some wars you win, some wars you lose, right? Excuse me, some battles, because wars you have to win or lose. But I really want to dispel you guys from this idea. Like, I still remember someone very 3 feet away from me getting stabbed with a knife, and Mark Dabrowski and all the guys at 12 West nightclub start going, Zerka, bro, you're not gonna sleep right after seeing all that. And I slept like a baby because I know the world can be tragic. Like, I'm not these guys who, I'll tell you this, man. I could sooner go unconscious with my thought forms and drugs than I could being jacked by someone else at 31 years old. I can't get carjacked at 31, dude. They didn't happen for George Floyd, and I was emotional for that. Nobody knows that, but I was really emotional for George Floyd, right? Which a lot of people say, Zerka, you're not on my team because you're emotional. I'm like, no, man. I've always been very linked to this Christ energy that is very pro life, extremely pro life, right? I've even felt emotions for trans shooters that off themselves at the end of it. Because I go, damn, they were just demonically charged under a huge spell, and just sadness for the family and the pro-life position, not the abortion position. The pro-life is legit. Every aspect of life is awesome, dude. You know, that position. Are you still emotional for George Floyd? Nah, they drove that shit out of me, bro. I've got a lot of explaining in front of God. Like I have no feelings in my heart for George Floyd. Like I just said he's a demon the other day. Like I am far from perfect, dude. But I'll tell you this, I deleted that tweet because I don't want that in my conscience. And I like deleting things that um, give me a better posture in the world. Like, have you noticed if you keep certain tweets and you don't feel that way anymore? You delete them and you feel much better. I believe as humans, we have to always find our zero. I don't think staying completely charged like Andrew Tate is a good idea. He's always charged. I don't believe in staying always in a bad mood like Ben Shapiro. He's always got something to complain about. I really think life is too short to move like those guys. I want a happy balance from a hippie, happy as a hippie, but as ruthless as a war vet, literally with a machine gun on my lap right now as I speak, right? I want that happy middle where I feel great, and the only thing that can harm me is when I choose to go unconscious. Those bad days we have. But will I ever be unconscious during a crisis? Not at this age. No. I don't think I don't think it would be correct to teach about the mind shooting out strong thought forms all day and staying in the state fulfilled. I don't think it'd be correct for me to imagine if I just hid and didn't do this call. And, you know, I've had people in my personal life say, don't do a call. Don't do a call because they're not going to relate to you. And I'm like, they're not supposed to relate to me. I'll tell you this, if you ever start relating too much to me, you've caught up on your readings. And you guys have what, 12 years of reading shit behind on me and applying that stuff. So you guys are very behind on me. Like, let's be real. I don't think we should all be aligned like that. Now, let me tell you this. If I was live right now and I was pushing for the next move, let's say, this call would sound really different. Have you ever noticed I can captivate hundreds of thousands of people with my emotional talking, my intuitive state? Have you ever noticed how I use it in my life as stepping stones when I say, hey, the crowd uses me, I use the crowd now? Have you ever noticed that I can be a master of propaganda too? Do you understand what I'm saying? Have you ever noticed that I pick the right moments because I'm not perfect here. I'm not walking like God. You think I'm some prophet? I'm not perfect here. But I'll tell you this, the one place that I choose to be perfect is every day of my life I generate correct thought forms. I have a moral imagination. That's why I can laugh during war. Some of the greatest people during big battles, they were hysterically laughing. Hysteria, bro. And I'm telling you like this, in times of war, I'm a refugee from a war zone. Dude, as much as my family was shitting their pants in fearful states, they always found moments to laugh with everyone else. You have to be a man in this world. I don't care if you're 21 or 30, okay? I don't care if you're Ed and HS who shared a woman and ate her out together. That's who I'm supposed to be homies with? Are you fucking out of your mind, bro? You see, I do it to them again. I do it to I do it to them again, bro. I was like, that's like that's like an alternate universe, bro. I do it to them again. Sorry, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's like, actually, that's a good example. These streamers you're mentioning, one in the chat if every streamer is an emotional bitch right now. Like, I'm not saying you guys are bitches for being emotional. You guys got hijacked. I'm saying they consciously hit the live button and they're crying like fucking cowards. Bro, just drop the names of who was crying the most. Get it together, man. But Zerka will get it together after we're done mourning. That's not how this works, nigga. That that is not how this when we get it together when we're done crying, then it's useless. What did you even do there? There was no pressure for you to go to zero. No, you're gonna go to zero when I tell you to, nigga. And you gotta learn to tell yourself to go to zero. The worst thing that could happen is not, yeah, you could be hijacked. You could do something stupid. You could ruin your life. Or you could just be in misery for the next month. There's two levels of retardation in being emotional. Yeah, Andrew Tate posting Civil War from Romania. That's rich, dude. That's fucking, bro, go kidnap a woman, you stupid fucking bald piece of You know how much I'd love Andrew Tate if he was just married, like a regular guy? I would actually think he's so based, but it always bothered me that he's teaching young men to just fuck bitches without a Bugatti. They're just broke niggas who literally can't even get one chick, and they're telling that one chick they like, no, I need bitches. They're telling their one crush, I need bitches. And the girl's like, what? What the fuck? He watches Andrew Tate. He's not even 1% as successful. It's just the most demonic thing if you think about that. It was so weird how many people message me thinking that the red pill is not a trap. It's like, bro, red pill is you have boundaries. She likes you for it. Red pill is not. Remember, I always say you can run into a world of distractions like Tate if you have the resources. but I don't think many people have the resources, right? I'm talking about personality types too. There's not a, it takes a rare type of personality to enjoy being a pimp. You know that, right? It's a rare type of thinking style that Tate has. That's why Tate enjoys it more than Tristan being a pimp, because they're different, right? How can you tell the difference from unconscious sadness versus conscious sadness? Yeah, the difference is unconscious sadness will have you, and conscious sadness, you will be active. You'll have control over it. Meaning, if you have to get errands done, you'll get them done, and you'll be sad about it, but you'll get them done, right? You'll be sad about Charlie, but you'll get everything done. Meaning, you're useful to me in war. Now, if you're just watching a super big chat, crying, everyone's crying in chat together, you're useless to me in war. And you're literally getting scammed hard by me. I'm taking your money and I'm not objecting when you're going unconscious. Isn't that the whole point of running this internet temple together? Is that I say, hey guys, you're unconscious. You're not going to be tested in the next 5 years. Nothing is going to test you bigger than this stream I do with you guys right now. Okay, this Charlie thing. This is the one time you want to be on top of being conscious. Every other time you can fail. I don't care. I want you guys to ace the exams before you do your little assignments. You're gonna start realizing life is very fun when you. Oh my God, I feel a pressure in between my eyes when I approach the world how you want me to, Zerka. I keep refocusing and zeroing in back to my true self, and it's like, yeah. Yeah, just like the ancients taught, like just like every genius taught. You think there's geniuses on earth swept with emotions right now? Or do you think everyone in Walmart is swept with emotions? Ask yourself honestly that. And don't come to me saying, well, they're just unfeeling types. Zerka's a feeling type. So if Zerka's doing it, then you're fine. It's not like I'm a non-feeling type. A lot of people love to convince themselves Zerko's the coldest guy on the internet. No, I wouldn't bond with my chat. Like, how many guys have copied me and they just came out cringe because they're not feeling types, right? They have no feeling when they speak. I have mud. I can easily be swept. I'm telling you, I'm just old. I'm 31. You think at 21 I wasn't swept? Bro, there was a point in my life where I was even swept by communist propaganda. I was like, maybe equality makes sense. Then you grow up and develop real skill sets, and you're like, maybe it doesn't make sense at all. Like, fucking pay these idiots nothing. They suck in life. They suck. And that's the craziest thing is like everyone's convinced God is gonna tell you you're worthy. Even if you don't apply yourself, you're all just my children, you're all perfect. And it's like, no, if the Lord gives you a tool, like a sword, a thinking that externally just shoots forward like a sword, right? Sword and comes from horse consciousness. It comes from the animal, the horse, intelligence. When the animal appears on earth, our thinking style starts developing, getting sharper and sharper. We're learning linear thinking. That's why in the book of Revelations there's 4 horses, because it's talking about intelligence reaching its peak. That's why in ancient times they venerated the horse. That's why in chess they used the horse symbol to relate to the mind. That is Rudolf Steiner. Yes, just like pride and strength comes out of the animal, the lion. That's why when you look at a lion, you can't describe a lion. Well, it has a nose, so do other animals. It has claws, so do other animals. I can't describe it, John. Yes, you can. A prideful strength is a lion. That's what you're seeing. That's when we started seeing it out there, we had it inside of us. We have that lion in us. Now, some people also have digestive animals like cows. There's also a lot. For every human desire, there's an animal out there. Boom! Every single desire. Every single want, need, every little thing. Now, can you see why I've always had a lion painting in my room? Or why I speak like a lion? Why I take heavy risks like a lion? Why I almost die taking risks? What's your spirit animal? Yeah, don't do that. Like channeling the lion was great when I wanted a bunch of women. You know how they have a bunch of mates? But I'm in a different phase of my life now, right? I'm a lot like a tiger now, where I just focus on the tiger. You know, the tiger, how they live with a big, nice, scrumptious meal at the end of the day, and they get everything done, but they're a loner when they do it. Some of you guys will relate to other animals. A lot of social guys will relate to wolves, right? But these are thinking styles, you know? You use animals to see your thinking style or the one you want the most that you feel disconnected from. You'll have dreams about that one. Which animal do you have dreams about the most? But that's a lesson for another time. All I'm here to say to you is one in the chat if you were unconscious until I started this call. I gotta know, like, who could even admit it after I kind of ruined all of their Hex, I don't think you're the type to be that emotional. I really don't. Hex, I know you well. I seriously doubt you were having the worst time of your life because Charlie Kirk got politically assassinated. I see. I think you were like sad, like I was sad, but I really doubt that you were unconscious. You're very cerebral type. You're very. I'm positive, Hex. You didn't just lay down all day. I guarantee you were doing something. You were getting something done and being sad about it. Oh, there you go. Yeah, yeah. Lots of uni. There you go. Speak on GG33 killing some kid. We don't really talk about anything dark here that doesn't benefit us. You know, what does it? How does it benefit us to talk about the numerology side of things? Like, we don't give a fuck about that. Okay. We'll do it when you guys pressure me, but my chat doesn't pressure me to do that. You guys had like a good 2 weeks of liking that, where I think it was just mostly memes too. What are your thoughts on Cash Patel? I've always maintained that Cash Patel reminds me of a very, very good liar. You know, to be in that position of power he's in requires high level lying skills. And it's not the Indian scammer thing because he doesn't remind me of an Indian liar. He actually reminds me of an American liar. Have you noticed a lot of American types that keep their eyes open, huge, to look serious? You know those types, like police officer types that really want to look like they're in charge more than actually being in charge? And I know the leaders must be led. That's intelligence. But this nigga is dog walk. He literally will do anything someone tells him, any higher up. He looks like the greatest pawn I've ever seen, right? And his whole always looking under extreme pressure, his whole facade, I saw right through it from day one. I know killers when I see them, they don't have that look. He does not have the killer look in him, bro. And so, you know, I know some people are sometimes killers and sometimes family men. They are not. That guy is putting up a front that he's laser focused, and it's like, no, you just have a good, you have strong blackmail on a lot of people you worked around. That's why you're in that position, and you're easy to control. That's why you're here. Yeah, when he said, "I'll see you in Valhalla," dude, my inner self who loves Viking, just run into battle and just fucking just risk everything. You know, my inner Viking self died when he said that. It just died. Like you guys don't even know how much I love pagan culture. Like nobody knows how much Game of Thrones nerd is in me, but all that shit just died. As soon this Dothraki nigga killed all that shit, that shit hurt. It was like it was equivalent to S-Van talking about something Viking shit, right? And it was so cool when Conor McGregor was doing his run, you know, before the drugs or during the drugs, but not as much. But it was so cool when he would allude to those kind of memes. But something about the FBI director who's just looking at CP all day. Shut the fuck up, nigga. Shut the fuck up, man. And I don't think Cash Patel is everything that's wrong with America. I still think he's cool in a traditional sense, that he's on the right side of history. It's just I think he reminds me of a guy that's scammed all of us. You know, not like an Indian scam, like an American scammer. Have you ever seen those Wall Street guys, those crypto kind of guys? That's who he reminds me of. Like he scams you with the English accent, perfect on the phone, not no Indian accent. All right. Who else thinks I could not have done this call on live? Like it would just be too many unconscious crying people trying to dox me. You know how fucking bad that would have been? You know, I'd be like, guys, reorient yourselves. You guys look like faggots right now. Just fucking all look at me like, you're not crying with us like Nick and Sneeko and all these guys. And it's like, first of all, dude, I understand what Nick is doing. Do I believe that Nick was frantic for 24 hours? No, I don't. He's a thinking type. There's a lot of conscious thinking types that know what they're doing. You know what I mean? Yeah, well, Zerka, is it normal if I haven't cried in 5 years, or am I just good at controlling my mental? You know, it is normal. I'll say that is normal. However, a lot of times when I get emails from someone who says they haven't cried in a long time, I ask them, is it because you've been crying every day internally? And a lot of them say, yeah, I've had a really bad few years. So you got to check, dude. If you cannot laugh under high pressure situations, you're fucked up. The real you can laugh at any time in life. You don't let news hijack you. Some of you guys are getting hijacked like Charlie's your brother. And you know, in a sense, he is, in a spiritual sense. But I really think one-sided thinking gets us into a lot of trouble, especially in marriage life, especially in financial life, especially in risk-taking life. It's like, I don't mind someone jumping off the pool, the high dive, so long as they have the full perspective. You know, closing your eyes and just sprinting is just not the move. Um, yeah, and you'll see that when you're checking your mind during tragedies, you're gonna see in a few weeks, some of you guys are gonna message me, Zerka, I can't stop laughing. I don't know why. I'm filled with so much psychic energy. I don't know why, but I think it has something to do with the fact that I weathered the storm for that tragedy, and now that there's no tragedy, it feels like I can play with the sails a bit. It's like, yeah, you can. Yeah, it's not something you can even teach. It's something you experience, and then you start becoming so magnetic. Your friends and family around you want to be around you more because they're like, this guy is unmoved. He is the mover, right? And some of you guys are convinced that a non-thinking state is the best place to be, and it's like, no, you're here to develop thinking. It's both, okay? It's both. When I look at the facts of the Charlie Kirk's assassination, I am in this state where I'm open to all facts, just so I get the most information, just so I don't block one side of the information crying like a bitch, like a detective, right? And I've noticed that I've always been the kind of guy that's like, especially later in life, where it's like, if I mourn later, later turns into what am I mourning about, really? What am I being weak about? Right? Because I'll say this, man. In the world I come from, just speaking personally now, not trying to be objective, just personal. Like let me just try and totally detach from you guys, so you guys go, what the fuck is he saying? Deep down in my heart, this is not that much of a shakeup to me. It doesn't surprise me at all. Political assassinations in the time of Trump, that's shocking to most of the world for both sides. How did we get here? How did we? No, we've been here for like fucking 10 years. What the fuck? How did we get? How did we? Everyone's saying, how did we get here? It's like, what do you mean? We've been talking about these sides hating each other for a long time. How can we win this war? Take back our country? I'll tell you like this, man. I'm here to train the self, to go back to the self. I'm not here for war. I'm here to tell you that there is no external. You have to master yourself before you think of war. All right? That's what I'm here to remind people of. Okay? Now, if I was to give my political take on what we do next, I don't think you guys will find it that mystical. I don't think you guys will find it that esoteric. I think you guys will find it kind of shallow and dry. So if you want to know it, I'm Zerka. I've always felt threatened in a Democrat-filled world, and the political actions that I would take would suffocate the left's freedom. I know that this causes even more craziness to happen, but if you're Zerka, you know the enemy's trying to kill you. You're very close to them. What are you going to just let them do that to you? Why doesn't Trump do that then? Because he's worried about dying, right? As soon as you suffocate one side on freedoms, you have a very unstable population. And the last thing political elites want is an unstable situation, right? That's a terrifying place to be in. I remember the Roe v. Wade. Remember, when one side starts winning too hard, that side has to be careful. So a lot of people think you can just squeeze out these Democrats, but it's like, no, actually, more of them form. The side that gets marginalized and suppressed, they multiply the quickest. Because, yeah, you're emotionally affecting them, their families. Like, do you know how many people became right wingers, quote unquote, just because Trump got fake shot in the ear? Remember that shot? That was a genius move, but that is the best move I've ever seen to win Elon's support and then force Elon to pay for EV cars. Like the most badass thing Trump's ever done. Like, oh, you fell for that ear shit? You fell for that perfect picture shit? Yeah, that was it. Most of my guys, see, this is something that you can't really say on live either. Right? You get doxxed for stuff like this. You get unwanted attention for stuff like this. Because I remember as soon as I saw Charlie, I was like, yeah, that's how the Trump thing would have gone if it was real. Right? How do we prevent from faggots from shooting us in the neck? I think the greatest thing you can take control of is your own thought forms, and whatever pans out that way. Because you got to remember that if you ever experience an impulse to punch someone in the face or to shoot someone or to hurt someone or whatever, all these impulses actually happened to you in the past, and they resurge as a new free will thing. Are you going to act on it or not? Right? So a lot of bad things that happen is very karmically linked. Like one in the chat, if you know, Charlie Kirk's assassination is very karmically linked. One in the chat. I'm not saying karma is any good or a bad thing. I'm saying it's a part of his story. Like one in the chat, if you immediately knew when it happened, yeah, you cannot enter the, even if we don't look at I'm not talking about just past lives and stuff like that. I'm talking about reoccurring issues. Like was Charlie Kirk in a culture war for the last 12 years? Yes, he was. So what you're saying is he was in the line of sight for 12 years. Yeah, he was. So what you're saying is you shouldn't be surprised. Why? Because you just called it a war. Oh, yeah, it was a war. But it was a war of ideas, John. And it's like, no, ideas get people emotional. What are you talking about? Right? The whole idea of I'm talking to the public and the public who pitchforks and kills everyone and burns them and screams, witch, witch, witch. The whole idea that the public is who you want to rage bait against and not expect something to happen to you. It's like, dude, I'm surprised Charlie didn't have, not that it would work, but he didn't even have a bulletproof vest. You know what I mean? I'm really shocked that, there weren't just low level attempts of, just feeling like, hey, when Blackwater comes to get me, it's not going to be that easy, right? Yeah, he went down in a what? T-shirt? Was he wearing a T-shirt that said freedom? Yeah, it was a T-shirt. No, a bunch of security, but they all work for the enemy. You know what I mean? One in the chat, if that was the easiest hit you could call, like immediately when I saw it, I'm like, why does this security look like Blackwater employees? Like, what the fuck? They didn't look regular. They weren't no fat guys with beards. They weren't no off-duty cops. They were someone else, and we've seen them somewhere else before. Yeah, they had the calls. I'm from a military family, so when I send them the calls, they're like, "Oh yeah, these are calls. These are sniper calls." And you got to ask yourself, was it the Roosevelt quote where if something big happens in politics, you know it's been planned for years in advance? Is that Roosevelt who said that? I've always maintained that, you know. Even my success on the internet was through Goebbels' propaganda, side bets, and everything I had to do to get to the top. Because let me tell you this, it's hard being the furthest right wing guy and getting platformed everywhere, right? It requires an immense amount of propaganda, an immense amount of isolation and concentration on sit in a hotel concentrating on which network moves I have to make and how to emotionally trigger them so I get on their podcast. So when I saw them, I wasn't heel Mike, like, hey, bro. So when I saw my allies, I said, hey, we have a common enemy. And they always looked at me like, really? And that's the preaching Abba, how I got on the Fresh Fit. Because they didn't want to have me. They thought I was a destructive socio. It's kind of base too, right? Kind of base too. That's kind of base. But once you have a common enemy, you can immediately, you don't have to pay people to hang out with you like Gary does, right? How could Trump not know that was going to happen? That makes me question Trump's motives. Uh, Let me tell you this, bro. That's a message from Israel to Trump saying, hey, this is your star player. This is your quarterback. We're going to staple his throat shut on camera, and you are going to do whatever we want in the Middle East. Loud and clear, understood by Team Trump. And they've always operated like this, right? Like a lot of people think, oh, it's just because Charlie was opening up to the Israeli questions. It's like, no, no, it also benefits Israel immense amounts to snipe him like this, right? Like imagine negotiating with Trump and all Trump can think about is Charlie holding his neck exploding with blood, right? It's like, oh, we won't do it, or I think we will do it. I think we just did it. And there's no negotiations behind closed doors. It's all done unsaid. Netanyahu or Milowski or whatever his real name is, he says, we need this from you, Trump. And Trump just thinks of Charlie and goes, okay, okay, fine. I don't need dirty operations like this against me. I don't want to be sweating all the time. I just want to sweat sometimes, right? They've never fought fair. And, you know, in my school, you guys are in my school, right? As awesome as it is to talk about, hey guys, these guys are the cowards. That's why they fight unfair. And no, I train you guys to know how they're fighting unfair, to fight like them if you have to. If you have to get someone fired because they're doing something to you, then you get them fired. What the hell? You know how much unclean karma you already have doing stupid shit? If someone's trying to get you fired from work, you fire them. What the fuck? You don't let evil win. So many people lost their jobs. I love it. See, I'm telling you right now, you love that they lost their jobs, right? It's funny to you. But those are the guys that are going to come kill you now that they have nothing to live for. People identify with their profession and trade more than anything, right? Even more than with their spouse, because their spouse leaves them when they lose their job. So as much as you rejoice, you realize, oh, damn, it is in the world of thought forms, you can't be around negative ones, they'll kill you. Charlie Kirk is going to snipe faggots with the Holy Spirit from the spirit realm. Am I right? No, no. Now that he's spread into the ether, he can either negatively charge a bunch of people with vengeance, thoughts of vengeance, and affect us through that, or he can forgive. And right now, it's like we'll see how it plays out. But most esoteric writing talks about when people are taken out of the world game early, they get very vengeful, right? So we don't know. I like to think that Charlie's not the type, but you'll see if the crowds, if the population, if the group soul gets very vengeful, it's because when Charlie spreads into the etheric atmosphere, his etheric body, right, his body of memories and all that, you'll see by the crowd. If the crowd gets very vengeful, that is his spirit taking over, and everyone is swayed by it. Correct? And the important thing is that you guys remain individuals, even though we get swept up many times. Especially, you can't avoid it. But for most of the day, you'll try to remain an individual so you can be clear minded. Then, when you choose to enter a certain, militia group, whatever you guys choose to do, right, online, yeah, you guys can be more conscious to it, right? Yeah, that is Steiner. And the cool part is that for Charlie's personal development, I don't claim to know all of his debts and karmic links, but in medieval Christianity is a mystical fact. If we look at it, yeah, that's huge soul progression for Charlie in certain things. Now, do I believe that Charlie had no hate in his heart? As soft as he is, as he was, and all that, I don't know if I believe all that, chat. How can any human be a part of politics for 12 years straight as they're doxing, trying to destroy your life, and not having bias and, an aggressive bias towards them internally? Most guys you see from the outside that are externally beautiful, on the inside, you don't know, right? I like to think that he was good on the inside too, but nobody knows, right? In the future, how people see races is going to be exactly the same. High levels of racism, except it's going to split into two different races, the good and the evil, right? That's what racism eventually evolves to. It's some society gets split from the five root races to the two. And in the future, we're all going to be a part of this, but it really comes down to the conscious versus the unconscious. Okay. And the interesting part is the conscious people don't just battle it out with them. There are battles that happen, but eventually we have to accept those that are evil too. That's how we reform them to our side. So I know that there's a war that happens, but there's also more to the war, which is the Christ impulse. Isn't that interesting? But could be a lot of cycles of destruction in the first. Like, you guys got to remember, we're just getting started. This whole thing ends in the year 3000 and something, 3200, or 3000. Yeah, I know the Antichrist shows himself around the year 3000, for most of us, we'll finish a lot of our karmic debts and stuff in Kamaloka, or let's just say in the sleeping period, right? In post life. Some people 50 years, some people 500 years, depending on what they got to work on. But when we all show up on Earth again, it should be around the year 3000 or 2500 and then 3000 again. So we don't know. We don't know how fast progression takes. You know, it's waves. Sometimes there's impulses that change the course of history. But it is interesting that all of you guys are going to know my voice in like thousands of years. Isn't that weird? Like every person you've met is going to be linked up with you. And if it's bad links, you're in trouble, dude. Right? That's why I really need you guys to, before you're political pundits, before you're anything, make sure your karma is cleaned up. You know, make sure you don't hate your ex-girlfriends and all this nonsense that is like, I don't know. I just feel like it requires too much of your soul to hate someone, right? Like, who here hates Charlie Shooter? I don't. I don't hate him. Arrest him, lock him up, but I don't hate him. You know, I'm not carrying hate. Are you crazy? That's the most dangerous thought form game you could play. Yeah. Because you guys got to remember, if I make it to, let's say, 40 years old, I really want to have a big, long beard and actually be seen as something a lot deeper than, you know, the master Zerk on the internet. I want to be seen as, hey guys, this guy actually did what he's saying. He's talking about negative thought forms and hatred and how you can overcome all this stuff. And yeah, the whiter Zerka's hair got, the better he got. I don't want my hermit arc to be like, ooh, this nigga is suffering from the same demons. Like, I think that's the most embarrassing thing you can go through in life is when you ultimately become an old man to the youth, the new youth that is following you, and you still have 25-year-old man's hatred in your heart. I think that's the most cringe thing you can go through, right? So Zerka, when Charlie died, did his soul just pop out like what the fuck or what happened? Well, yeah, I can give you, I don't know if this helps that much, but I can give you what happens on the basic level. So certain people will clothe everything good in their life, the good, with Christianity, which is kind of wrong still, because uh, when you take off all of how your mind clothes Christianity, like Jesus is a guy with a beard and blah, 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 it's all kind of wrong. But different people clothe Christianity in different versions. Like, for example, Christianity has a Dragon Ball look in someone who grew up with Dragon Ball, like me. Then, if you grew up as in, you know, maybe your grandpa sees Christianity as Jesus is like some Jewish guy. There's so many different clothing aspects that our minds clothe how we see this religion. But yeah, the good in Charlie's life of how he clothed the good in his mind, that's how he'll be seeing it. One, he'll be surrounded by family members, especially according to Swedenborg, even though Steiner updates that Swedenborg is very low level at this stuff as a seer, but I'm just telling you how Charlie would see it, is he would be shocked. The soul is immediately shocked that it's still alive, that it was pain free, which is the most shocking thing to people, is that there's not one human who's ever experienced pain when they were killed or even died. It's all an illusion. Not that the whole world's an illusion, right? It's just we don't see all of it, right? We're limited in our perspective. But yeah, the illusionary part of that is that there's never been a soul that felt pain during death. It's all an illusion. It's kind of like a video game in a sense, in a dream. And how can you know that? By studying the seers, the mystics. That's how you can know that, right? Not just studying people who went through these visionary states, but actually reading their books and seeing, do they align with what other mystics say And in theosophy, everyone's kind of saying the same thing. Steiner's would be the highest level, right? Like Steiner doesn't even use words like heaven, upper heaven, lower heaven. He'll use words like astral, right? But you look in Swedenborg's writings of heaven and hell, which can confuse you too, because it's just he didn't see far enough. Yeah, there's never been a soul that took on the collective burden. For example, let's say you were born in wartime and you went to war. Swedenborg talks about how that doesn't affect your karma at all. You were born as a soldier, you fought as a soldier. That's just, you grew up thinking that's what you're supposed to do. Swedenborg talks about how only things that you know are deeply wrong, that's what you pay for, right? Yeah, and Swedenborg never speaks in reincarnation exactly. He only speaks into what happens after many incarnations, which you have to choose a side. Do you want to go to inward hell or inward heaven, right? Because it's an inward thing. But yeah, what I would claim Charlie is seeing right now is he gets surrounded by these angels, his ancestors, and all that, and they don't just surround him; they're also in him in a state of being. So you don't have to talk much. You can kind of know many, many, many years of things within 10-second download and instant transmission of thought forms, right? So like 100 years of thought forms. And that's what happens when the body's turned like a glove inside out. So how the external world projects in your eyes and you can walk on a grass field, the internal world would be everything that outside you see, but inward. So it's like a glove turned inside out. And a lot of times that in the in biblical scripture, it talks about wine a lot, right? Wine is the forgetting. That Charlie, if he decides to incarnate within 30, 50 years, right, he can forget that he was Charlie, right? And only mystics remember that stuff. And that would be drinking of the wine, right? The river of forgetfulness. But uh, it could happen that way, or it could happen that Charlie goes away. Because remember, Steiner talks about there's 1/3 of your life in afterlife is, let's say it's 25 years, is spent on going through everything you did right and wrong. So Charlie's going through his life backwards, right? As soon as he's comforted with by the fact that, oh, there's a life after death, he goes through his life backwards, and this is the hell process. Every shame, everything you did wrong to someone, you feel through their lens. So you feel with them. And this is the fastest way to learn, to level up your soul. And it's called a burning for a lot of people. It's like not a fiery burning, but a shameful. The soul is ashamed that it's eternal and it did things like that in a mortal experience, and that it didn't look for higher truths or anything, and it failed its dharma, duty, or mission. And then, as soon as all the bad stuff is purified and burns off, right, astrally, the soul goes up into subjective heaven. For some people, even as long as 500 years. And that subjective heaven is different for everyone, with everyone in there, right? And that's the soul's pretty much the best part of being a soul. And it goes back down the ladder of Jacob when it realizes it has a duty to complete. And it completes many duties in subjective heaven, but there is a larger duty, right? That's why humans work hard, is they want to be angels and work for the Lord, bring something unique, right? Think of the sun. It's got many rays of light, rainbow light, let's say. You are one color, and there cannot be a color that takes your spot, right? And yeah, souls come back to Earth, and Earth is kind of like playing the game on legendary mode, right? And it's really interesting because a lot of people are like, well, this is so hard to grasp, Zerka. I can't believe that my soul's going to do all that, what you said. Can you say something without me having a mystical experience or a visionary experience? Can you tell me how I can believe this stuff? How can I trust you? And I'm like, yeah, you do it every day. Didn't you just wake up from sleep? That was spirit realm. but Zerko, I don't remember any of that. And it's like, yeah, you're not strong enough to remember it, but there are people who can remember what they go through in spirit realm. But Zerko, what do you mean? Bro, when you go to sleep, you do your day backwards and see all the moments you fucked up where you could either withheld love or you were mean to someone and how that affects the world. And you're going to see how big you are in the world, right? This is why people say, "Oh, he sleeps with a he doesn't sleep with a good conscience. He bet he's afraid, bet he's getting bad sleep, and sleep is everything." Like my best students, we master their sleep, so their lives go perfect first, right? I've hated them for a long time, and it affected my focus and productivity. How can I stop myself from being affected by them when I know how many injustices they've done to our people? Well, I'll just say this, focusing on that hate allows you to not do your mission. Meaning the one thing you're on earth to do is getting obstructed by your hatred. I would say it's time to let go of hate. Do you think Zerka hates the Jews? Do you think Zerka hates anyone? Does that even make sense? Even my most hateful states, I don't think they last for more than 5 minutes. Because I always go back to, hey, I'm awake, I'm in the world, I get another day, this is great, let's do it. And look, a lot of people think you have to follow Zerka's path. That's the gameplay on Earth. No, it's not. You don't have to listen to me at all. And everything will unfold naturally anyway. I make the argument that if you're consciously unfolding your life as you go, I make the argument that your life as a video game is awesome, right? Some people will just unfold it, rip the band-aid off in the last hour of their life, right? And just hope for the best and then be filled with all this shame that they didn't do what they came here to do and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, dude, you're a funny guy. You better be bringing jokes to the world. You better be rippling positive vibrations in the world, right? Because you're building your heaven while you're here too, right? Even though in 4D it's a lot different. Telling you, every good deed you do on earth, especially to yourselves, like a lot of people think it's just to others. No, to yourself as well. Bro, you're gonna be like, oh, I should have done more of those. I'm telling you, this is how it works. And a lot of you guys come back to me like, but Zerka, if I listen to you, I'm gonna be lovey-dovey all day. Yeah, what's wrong with that? I don't know if I deserve that, John. I just feel too happy like this. And it's like, in the ancient times, people would be like this starting at 14 years old, practicing like this. You're starting at 28 years old. So if you ever think you don't deserve this immense level of love and light and energy beaming out of your heart, if you ever think you don't deserve this, just remember you're already missing over fucking almost 20 years of this. You were supposed to start this 20 years ago. That's how the golden age was. But in this fallen age, it's like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? A lot of people think they get this beaming love out of their heart by joining a temple or joining a church, and it never happens for them. But then they go, oh, it happened to me in these times of my life when I was doing something I loved from my childhood and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, you can follow that. That's good energy. We're looking to go towards the good, not away from it. Right? And it's even easier when someone just goes to church and it happens for them. Although I get a lot of messages saying that's not their, like, it doesn't happen to a lot of these guys. And I'm like, yeah, because we're doing a self-initiation. I get it. We're in 2025, which is kind of badass. If you're on Earth in this time, to be incarnated in this time, it means you are the most badass motherfucker. Because this is the time of self-initiation. Never before done. It's never been done before. Usually it's been group initiations, right? Like a lot of people think being a part of my circle is an initiation thing. No, it's not. No, it's not. Maybe if I took you guys to an island and showed you guys something. Who wants that? Who wants to go to an island with me? I've got some tricks I can show you with the mind that will make you so scared you will shit your pants and run away from me forever. You will say, wait, Zerka, you didn't do anything, but you told me to do something and it scared the fuck out of me because how can I have that much control of the external? And I'll be like, dude, it's in the books I recommended. And you shouldn't be that scared. And a lot of you guys would never message me again, to be fair. A lot of you guys would be like, that was too much. I'm not ready for that kind of responsibility. And I don't think Zerka is either. And it's like, yeah, I'm a baby in this. I'm very new to this, man. I'm like a little toddler. And what's funny is a lot of people don't know and this is on point. I'm not just sidetracking. This is on point. A lot of you guys don't know what our position is towards God right now. Is we're in the baby stage where we're crawling to God. That's our angel form right now. Like if you want to think of it, if you want to relate it to something. So if you ever thought of like, oh, why life is hard, is you have to learn. The only way you can learn and walk the steady, straight path is if you fall a million times like a baby. That's the part of life we're on. It's not to be morally perfect like a robot. That's always been wrong. And it's not to be beastly as fuck. It's not to master your dark lower nature. And it's not just only above nature, higher nature. It's the middle, dude. So you can perfectly join in a loving, combinessing way with a group of angels, and you can separate from them and do your own thing. That's the best, only thing you should learn on earth is perfect love and perfect freedom, which is separation from that. But how do we learn that over how many times? And it's like, well, you're going to fall in love with some women and you're going to have your heart broken. There's both lessons that you have to master. And you can be a dark George Floyd fentanyl demon about it. Or you could be in the middle path and then have a wife and kids and straighten your life out and be like, okay, I'm understanding it. But to think you guys are going to understand it in 70 years? No, bro. This is going to take a long time with many dream states and afterlife states that are all going to complete the puzzle pieces to the full state of consciousness you're going to be in. But by the time you're done this earthly dharma, I can easily, with confidence say, you should be those old men who know your body, mind, and spirit. You should not be those old guys you see on the street who look confused. That is not, that is one thing that is a waste. And it doesn't have anything to do with reading books and stuff. I'm talking about just being. You should understand your being by the time you're old. Okay? The whiter you get on the hairs of your head, the more you should want to be waking up in the world. You shouldn't be degenerating and weakening, okay? Do you understand what I'm saying? And for you guys who are in your lessons period, like for example, you party still, that's totally fine. Some of the best lessons you'll learn is with those mistakes that you're not going to get from books. Just make sure you balance the partying with something thought productive, right? Like I've always fucked bitches and I've always ran into that room, locked the door. John, open the door! Open the door! And I'd be like never opening the door because I'm reading my book on how the mind works and which parts of which chapters I agree with, which chapters don't make sense, which chapters that make sense, but they took too much time and they wasted my fucking life. That shit was stupid. And I make a whole opinion about it because by the end of your incarnation on earth, you want to know I am Bob. This is how I think. These are the thought forms I project. This is how I'm magnetic to people. This is how I help people. This is how I don't help people. This is how I help myself. This is how I help my friends. This is how I help my girl. This is how I help. And you're going to be like, why is my mind so different from Andrew Tate's? It's like, no, Andrew Tate has that mind when he helps his brother. It's just for some reason he can't go further in that, right? Like he has to take everyone's money. The heel mic simulator. Yeah. Yeah. Like a lot of guys say, I think I'm done the partying thing around 24 years old, John. How come you weren't done till like 28? And I was like, That's a good question. I like to make the argument that I'm just like a younger soul than you guys. You guys might be older. Some people want to, bro, bathing in the pig shit, bro, some of the best lessons you'll learn. You know, I genuinely don't think most of you guys are going to be my age and really slowing down. I think you guys are going to slow down by one in the chat. If you getting into just reading about theosophy, you've slowed down on your stupid shit. Yeah, it has that effect, right? And to be honest, that's not good because what if you have more lessons to learn with stupid shit, right? Then it's kind of me snaking you. So you got to internally know. A lot of people internally know. They say, Zerka, I'm done with the partying stuff. I'm like, are you done because I'm telling you to be done? Or are you actually done? And they go, oh, okay. Because I'm like, if I'm telling you to be done, you're not fully completed those things you're trying to do. You're going to build a shadow and you're going to hate me forever. It's got to be, you always have to be your own boss in this, right? I've had a near death experience I love, and I believe in God during that experience. Why didn't I feel God's presence? Um, I've gotten so many of these questions where like I remember talking to Togi. He didn't have a God when he almost died, overdose. There's a lot of these, and I can never understand because any near-death experience I've ever had, or even just really bad experiences, were always involved with something I would see. Well, excuse me, I'm wrong here. Only my near-death experiences were involved with the mystical, and it's weird. It's like when I talk about it, you know how everyone says, "Yo, God is real, God is real." It's like in the subjective way Zerka sees God. That's what I experience. I didn't see it through the totality of outside of mortal being, like when we all die. I saw it through my lens, which really ignited this fire in my soul, where it's like it transformed my core, where I was like, feel really confident about running risks right now. I could run a million risks. I feel really confident, dude. Like extremely confident. Now that's faith in the Lord. Whereas if you have a near death experience and you're not confident afterwards, I can't explain to know what you went through, but I just know many good people on earth don't have a God in their near death experience and they document that. And there's like most people do, I think. But I know there's a huge chunk of people who have this emptiness experience, you know? And it's whatever you're going through. That's whatever you need, that's what you're getting. But I could never claim to know because I didn't have that. I didn't go through that gate. The only mystical experiences that I've been through that I like to even talk about, I don't know one person living today who's been through it besides Dr. Robert Gilbert. I understood his and a lot of stuff he'd say, and it's mostly linked to Steiner and stuff. But for a lot of people who get confused, it's like, dude, different human beings clothe spirituality differently. So for a Buddhist, they're going to see Buddhist symbols. A Christian's going to see Christian symbols, and etc. etc. That's why a Buddhist, when they would call the avatar of Christ love, but they wouldn't call it Christ. You know what I mean? But it's the same thing. So that's where people get really confused. That like, whoa, even internal or external, you will be seeing it through your point of view. It's almost like you're a co-creator with God. Makes you feel way too overpowered, too much responsibility, and then you remember that you take a shit every day. And that's the cosmic joke of don't take yourself too seriously. You're still transforming. You're still not a full co-creator, but you have to be a co-creator in order to become a co-creator. You know what I mean? You see swastikas and stars. Yeah, if you're too into that stuff, you could. I wonder. It can never be something that harms you. I know that, right? Unless it's one of those eye-opening experiences where something harms you actually was the best thing that happened to you, which everyone talks to me about. Like one of the most emotional calls I had with some kid is when he said, "Okay, you're right. That horrible thing that happened to me was the best thing." And I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Because I stopped going unconscious." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Because that bad thing that happened to me keeps reorienting itself to me." I'm like, that's horrible. And he's like, no, it's actually awesome. I'm like, aren't you always suffering? And he's like, no, that's not what I mean by I remember it. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I remember what to do. I'm like, oh, it reminds you of what to do next. That's a beautiful thing. Is that the great one in the chat? If the greatest thing ever is when you know what to do next, not for the next week, 2 weeks, three, just for the next step. Isn't that the fucking greatest feeling ever? Where you just have you're either certain the Lord exists, or a lot of my students would say, I feel like I am God. It's like easy co-creator, easy co-creator. Like we get that that's how the Lord gives us our confidence. Like you are God's, but easy boy. Like you still take a shit every day. Like relax. You know, and it's so weird. Some people get humbled and go further in life. Some people, I'm gonna just say it. I know this goes against every single book you'll ever read, every single mystical text. Bro, I swear to God, sometimes the Lord wants you to be cocky, one in the chat. Like sometimes it's about humility, and sometimes it's like, get going, bro. It's crazy. It's like, bro, where are those texts in scripture? Sometimes it's like, yeah, you always learn your lesson with that though, because you always know when you're not with the Lord anymore and you're just being cocky alone. You always feel it. It feels like uncertainty. You're, have you ever been confused and there's nothing to be confused about? So you lost your presence of I am, your being. And then, you ask the Lord, hey, Lord, I want to make a move. And the Lord goes, here's infinite positions. Do your play. Like I'll just literally do it through you. And then you make infinite mistakes in front of him, and he's just smiling, watching all of it. Like you'll never know how humble the Lord is until you realize, oh, I could have done 10,000 more mistakes, right? It's like the Lord is so humble. He doesn't just nudge you all the time. He nudges you and you go, get off me. And he goes, okay. And just lets you make a bunch of mistakes and then sends you the Christ impulse again to nudge you in the right direction. And it's weird. It's like eventually it feels like the sun. You turn your head away from the sun, and then it's always there. You feel the warmth, and you can always turn back, but you don't do it for years. And what's interesting is Jesus Christ is literally the sun, not just everything we know about the cosmic principle, but when we see it on this side, if you ever want to see the being of the Christ, it's literally the sun, the Aharu Mazda, the literal S-U-N. It wasn't in ancient times S-O-N, Son of God. It was S-U-N. But I don't like to talk about that because it confuses a lot of people. They go, well, is the Son Christ? And it's like, no, it there's way more to that. But if you ever feel like he's missing, you can look up to the sun, have a nature day, and you could be like, oh, this is why they worship in high mountain peaks. They build their temples with big, big, big glass to reorient the light inside the church when they pray. Oh, there's a vibrational reality component to it, right? Yeah, and most of these cultures who worship the sun, they weren't all good, right? A lot of people were fucked up with a bunch of demons in them. Like, for example, here's a culture who was with the Christ, but were they really? Have you ever seen how ancient Catholics used to torture people? Excuse me, not ancient, medieval Catholics. Have you ever seen the torture machines? Have you ever seen how many Catholics were practicing black magic and it was normal? It's going to shock you how many kings were doing black magic and it was just like a normal thing back then. That's how much free will we have. And you start going like, whoa, even the institutions can get corrupted like that. And it's like, yeah, bro, like real Christians were getting their heads cut off. There's a lot of fake Christians that have all the robes on, and you get really, like, for example, the Catholics that follow me, they got so humiliated because they're like, well, Zerka, you're into medieval Christianity, but that's too complicated. I'm into Catholicism, so I trump you. And it's like, okay, beautiful. We love the symbols. We love everything that, Catholicism takes us to. But ultimately, I started with medieval. That's my bread and butter. I've never just been into any modern Christian takes, right? And it's like, dude, did you see the kid who just became a saint because his dad's a billionaire? Did anyone see that? It was like the most humiliating thing for the Catholic Church. Does anyone have the name? Or I didn't even look into it. I just remember laughing, saying, like, whoa, there's modern Christianity for you. There's modern Catholicism for you, right? Modern Catholicism that's against prayer all day. The whole day is a prayer. It's not just when you're praying. No, they see confession is the only part, right? And penance. But yeah, Google kid who just got saint status from the Catholic Church. It's going to shock you. His dad's a billionaire. It's going to shock you what modern Catholicism actually is. It's kind of like when you're like, has any of you raised your eyebrow and thought like, I like Catholicism more than Protestantism, but what's up with the Pope stuff? Has anyone raised an eyebrow to the Pope stuff? Like the whole LGBT popes thing? Yeah. And the Bible, talks about this. Not that Protestantism is the correct path. Like they got a bunch of things wrong. The path is always the hardest path. And the hardest path is really your body is your temple, dude. Do it how you want. You just don't fuck up. You can fuck up following a lot of people. Even me. A lot of you guys will fuck up following me. And it's like, dude, dude. Think of your mind as a Ferrari you're given by the Lord. You better learn everything about that Ferrari. Okay. So guys, there is no real objective reality. Well, there is, right? Like a moral world is the objective world we aim for. Zerga, if there's no real objective reality and everything is being created by your mind, I never said that, right? I said the mind, not your mind, right? There's the mind, right? The nous, right? The Lord. Then how are people real or are they fake inside my mind too? No, dude. No. That's not how you should see it. You should see it as the world is half real and the other half you add on to it. For example, when you look at a tree, you have the precept of a tree and then the concept of a tree in your head. For some people, trees are fucking stupid. Some people are neutral, whatever, right? But you paint the world as you go on. It's been happening for thousands of years. Humanity adds their brush strokes to the things they look at. But if you take out man, there is still the divine. Now, check this out. There's no such thing as anything else but the divine. Right? That's what being is. Right? That's why we give ourselves to the divine. It's not us being, it's being, right? It's almost like we're the illusion that peels off eventually. That's how it works, right? Not that we are an illusion. Each one of us is building our own heaven, right? Our own subjective heaven. There's myriads and myriads of heavens. There's so many huge, massive heavens layered on top of each other. And you would be shocked when you find out in afterlife that everything, you're going to immediately think of me and be like, okay, that guy was worth the time I gave to, I listened to Zerka and yeah, even a fucking asshole like him, even he wants to morally progress to the highlands. Yeah, I think I can do it. If he's if he's crazy and he's attempting it, we should all be going towards it. And you know what's weird? When you say to yourself you're going forward into the promised land, into the Jerusalem, for some reason, one step feels like you took 1,000 forward. Some of you can do it without ever talking about God, without ever talking about religion, without talking about Christianity, and just through being get there. And some of us, we like to keep it entertaining, right? Have you seen them? I have seen my personal things that I need to see. I've talked about it on a call before where if you want to ask me, Zerka, have you seen one part of maybe one less than a percentage of your heaven and who was there and what it looked like? Yeah, I have. And it's chilling to talk about. I've talked about it before here, and a lot of you guys will immediately know what I'm saying if you've ever had a perfect dream before. Has anyone here had a perfect dream? An astral vision? Not that it's a vision, I'm saying you're on that other side, but it's a perfect dream. And it's different to all of us. Like some people's is more, I've heard of people being in a Star Wars like environment, right? With buildings. Mine was, dude, there was trees up until the heavens. I swear to God, there was trees larger than skyscrapers all the way into the clouds. And it was almost like there was a roof that started with the leaves up there. It was mind-blowingly quiet. This whole planet, plane, whatever, was filled with green, like this deep green, this future green, this just life energy and the calmest. My heart wasn't even beating, and the person I was around wasn't beating either, and it was mind blowing. And when I woke up, I was like, "Whoa!" And that was shocking because I know we get one of these dreams every 10 years or so. I didn't read that anywhere, by the way. To me, that's how it's been. More rare, the really good stuff. Now, if I'm getting pointed in the right direction, that's way more frequent, like a flying dream and stuff like that, right? But if you've never seen the upper astral, I think you're lying to me, right? I think you just forgot. Although I don't think you can forget if you're actually slightly conscious in this dream. It's mind blowing. Mine was mind blowing how much I wanted to be on that side instead of this side. You know, it's like, it's almost like, whoa. And a lot of people know what I'm saying this. Like, you ask any 25-year-old guy who's had the perfect dream, you just ask them, where were you? And they go, they can't explain it. They start smiling like from year to year. They go, oh, I was somewhere, right? And it's even more mind blowing that all this research will actually explain to you that you didn't even see like 0.1% of it. Like you don't even get to see 0.1% of your heaven while you're on earth on this side. Let alone imagine when you max out your heaven and you go on to the next one from spiritual to the celestial. And then you go on to the upper, right? The object, the even closer to the sun principle, right? The Christ. That's well, the DMT guys will explain that better, right? I feel like those guys explain it the best. It's funny because some of those guys don't have like very religious backgrounds, so to them it's more alien, which it can feel like that. For me, it's weird. All the symbols and everything that I clothe reality in is always auras for me. It's always been auras. Maybe because I grew up with Dragon Ball, or I don't know. It's always been with strong personality types. And usually in these kinds of visions, I'm the calmest one. Like my heart is not even beating. I can't even hear anything in the world. It's that quiet, right? And it's filled, like I'm sure it's a filled world, but it's that quiet. Can't even hear my own internal dialogue. It's the greatest feeling to be out that this outer body experience, but you're still in a body. It's so insanity. There's has been people who have certain dissolved states, you know, you dissolve into the one. That could scare some people if you're conscious, right? But yeah, there's been so many different versions of people's perfect paradise. And the beautiful thing is, Charlie's in his. You know, a lot of people don't understand why I'm happy for the guy. And it's like, dude, he's on the other side, and not like he killed himself and forced being on that side on some total waste. You can never do that in this. That is the worst thing you can do, right? I'm not being insensitive to those of us we lost to suicide. I'm just saying it's the worst thing you could do. But the best thing that could happen is when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. And for Charlie, it was actually his time to go, right? Remember, people stay until they finish their mission, then they move on. I'm not saying the guy was a saint or anything. I'm not that guy at all. I'm just saying that, when they say rest in peace, yeah, as soon as he's done his reviewing his life, which, on that side, time doesn't exist. Time we experience as weather on that side. So sometimes it gets warm, the state changes, right? But on this side, we experience literal fucking time dilation. And so we don't know where he's at time wise, right? We don't know if it all happens in a minute or whatever. And I don't claim to even that stuff that I can study, I don't want to study. I feel like anything that makes things too hard is stupid, right? Because you want to unfold your intelligence, right? Not force unfold the stupid shit. And it can be stupid if it complicates you to the point of giving up, right? Always got to see it as a video game. Everything we do, like Kanye says, isn't life a video game? And I guess, to wrap up the lecture, I would say to you guys that the more good deeds you perform on Earth, the more you guys will have a memory of, damn, I love that Zerka guy. That was really good shit. That was so worth it. He wasn't just saying it to be a nice guy. Remember, if I said it just to progress myself, that's not how this game works. It's we all have to go up or I go down. We all have to go up together, right? That's how moral law works. That the being of I am is you put everyone together, and then we have the God image of what we're trying to reflect. This unity consciousness, we have to see it as everyone has to go up or nobody. That's why I dispelled everyone's mind from an emotional state. Because I don't want to get, I don't believe there's good actors in the world that are just going to hijack your mind and give it back to you. I don't believe that at all. I think people who hijack your mind, they're cunning and they know what they're doing. You know, even if they don't know the mystical sense of what's happening, they know what they're doing, right? Zerko, when I was young, my father passed away in a car accident by falling asleep in the car on his way to work, but he had a strong faith. I'd like to think he's somewhere good, but where do you think he is or what happened? Yeah, usually if it's just an average dad, just a dad who was a dad, who was a good guy, who had good faith, usually that's like really strong indications that he's totally fine, right? The people I mostly worry about are murderers, rapists. Eventually they make it up there with us, but it takes a lot of suffering, a lot of the purification part of things, and an unnecessary amount. And remember that nasty people inwardly gravitate towards each other. They're always welcome into the heavens. Angels want them, but they turn away from the angels, right? Until they're purified, then they want to come back. Right? Everyone wants to. That's why every night when we go to bed, we look at our day and how it went and how great we were as people. Some of you guys just started doing good deeds out of the fear, and you guys are gonna fuck your whole lives up. Like I've got a bunch of people who follow me who do good deeds out of fear. I don't want to go to the wrong place, so I'm just doing good deeds. And it's like, well, you're inwardly still going to the wrong place. But Zuka, that's so unfair. So why don't you just be a good person? Is that too hard? Why can't you do a good deed and actually feel that you did something good? Why are you doing it out of fear? Right? And then a lot of people go, okay, it makes way more sense like that. Like, yeah, it does. Yeah. And that's when a lot of you guys are going to be turned off by Tate. You'll realize that the more someone has in the material world, the worse they are. Like they fucking raping themselves. Not because they have a bunch of money and stuff, but that money allows them to be assholes and spread fake news. They're allowed to spread fake soul progression to you, right? They're allowed to do that. They have the power to do that. Like that wealth gap thing is like, bro, if I was that kid on that thing, I don't want someone to take a picture. One of the chat, if the worst thing ever is when someone takes a picture of you in public and you're like, I didn't want to be in that picture. I don't want to be a part of the internet hoopla. I don't want my dad seeing that. I don't want people making fun of me. I have a kid. I have a friend. I have this one. I don't want people to think I'm that vulnerable to be your bitch in your little picture, right? It's the number one reason I almost punched fucking heel Mike in the face. I was like, bro, I'm not gonna get on your streams if you go up to random people on the street like that. They can come into our shot. We're not going into their shot. You fucking retarded. Like some people are just out with their families. Like be a good guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. I think the only time I've ever supported evil is if someone forces you to be on camera on their stream or on their thing that like you're walking around, let's say you're with your mom or someone you love, and they're forcing you to be a part of their prank channel. I think that's the only time I said, fuck soul progression, become evil. You know what I mean? Like, fuck this shit, man. This is the one time I'm like, fuck that. That's just weirdo behavior. Yeah, Jack Doherty behavior. Like, it's so easy being a piece of shit to Jack because he's a piece of shit to the world. It's so easy, just take his money. And it's bad because inwardly he makes me worse, and you know, it just fucks me up in the future, right? Zoka, how do you express your suppressed energy? Well, I do the activities, right? I have a bunch of three energy. Oh, here we go. But I suppress it when I'm around parents. Literally feels, yeah, I've gotten this question so many times. Zerka, I'm the comedic type, but I suppress it around my parents. I go, okay, but then you're failing your duty on earth. If you're a funny guy, the worst thing is when you're funny to the world, but not your family. Just because what? You save it for the world? Those are the fakest people on earth, you know? And I get that families always look at us like, hey, John, be funny now. Yeah, it's your duty, bro. It's your talent. You're LeBron. They want to see you play ball. The fuck? I always find it strange how the number one question I get is, hey, Zerka, I'm being asked to be a good person. How should I respond? And I'm like, okay, you're a funny guy, and your family wants you to come out to dinner to make them laugh. Like, what do you feel too passive doing what they want? Are you fucking retarded? Is the Guardian of Threshold in Steiner's work talking about our shadow traits? Yes, it's this monster we develop that we call the devil eventually. Well, harmonic spirits, devil spirits, I guess would be different, but they influence you to build more gunk. And that gunk is your shadow traits. And eventually you got to face your own mirror. And that's why people freak out when they die, because they don't want to see all the bad things they've done in one canvas outside of space and time. And it's like, hey man, we have the most merciful Lord ever. I'm like, you can get this done. You can get this project done. Trust me. Right? And then you're in high levels of bliss. Right? Zerga, thank you for advice on getting X back. I have been working in hedge fund consulting 2 months after delivering pizza. Oh, wow. I was looking for a job for 8 months, but it took a breakup to really push me. Yeah, that new you that you build is, you're going to be shocked at who starts to gravitate towards your life. You're going to get weird text messages from certain people that you never fucked with before, and they're going to be more attractive than your girl in many ways. And it's either going to go that way or you're going to get back with her, but it all comes from that new state of self. And it takes a while to solidify in the real world, right? That's why we start from the inward, then we have external ritual, then everything starts happening, then it feels like a chore, right? For a lot of people, how many people here say it's a chore to be the right guy? I'm like, oh, today I have to wake up and tell these guys to not be emotional. That's a chore. But I'm like, oh, it strengthens my state of being. I get to be way deeper of myself if I do this. And they don't become frantic little bitches. Because I think the number one currency of failure is always fear. Like, I could give you $20 million. If you're stuck in a fearful state, no Bugatti, nothing can be advantageous to you, dude. Right? Like, my dream would be to get 1 million people to say, I live with no fear, Zerka. Whether they're broke or rich, I go, damn, they're all rich now. They're rich in spirit. Next. Yeah, I think I'll wrap it up here. I'm losing my voice. Yeah, if your dad cheated on your mom or anything like that, dude, you're gonna have to forgive both parents and forgive them for failing their own karmic tie. It has nothing to do with you. Move on, dude. You gotta move on. Okay. In the end, you're gonna be shocked at how many people you actually have to forgive on earth. You're gonna be shocked. You're gonna think Andrew Tate's the devil. You're gonna be like, what? This guy told me to hate everyone. And it's like, no, dude. Okay. What we're looking for is no fear, a state of confidence where you can laugh in times of tragedy. That's all we want every day of our life until other people start following you around, right? Like they follow me around. That's all we want. Magneticism. Okay. We could talk about technical practices all day, but remember, the secrets of the esoteric life is not the technical aspects of what I talk about, because there's some people who don't know any of this and they're just good people and they're vibrating the right worlds. Everything they're getting from spirit in this realm, they're getting good shit. They've got good channel open. Right? There's a lot of people who don't know who I am and they're living their best lives because they just intuitively get this shit. Right? Remember, if you don't understand what being a good person is, don't think of being a good person in the world. Everyone goes there. Be a good person yourself first. See how that feels. Because a lot of you guys don't have issues with the world. You have issues with yourself. You're just connected to some kind of weird memory trauma hole, right? Okay, we'll do another call in a day or two, maybe 2 days. Yeah. Okay. And I guess the last signing out message would be is there's arrows shooting out of your third eye right now when you end this call with me. Are they negative arrows? Are they hurting you? Are they shooting back into your heart? Or are you shooting the right arrows? Like, ask yourself honestly. Right? Concentrate and finish your day strong. You can concentrate up until the last 10 minutes before bed, then you can dissolute all those thoughts. But I'm telling you, the day's not over, and the day's the only thing that exists. We only look at playing the sport of life within the 12-hour context we're awake. Nothing else. You can plan ahead, that's all cool and stuff, but we're just looking on mastering our day so that loved one comes into our life, that partner, that romantic whatever, that job opportunity, and finally, a state of courage. Because we know what the fuck we're doing.